Alright guys, today I want to talk about how chronic illness or chronic disease has affected my life. So specifically, inflammatory bowel disease, and more specifically than that, ulcerative colitis. So what ways has it affected my life? Well, initially it gave me a lot of fear because there was these things happening to me. I was bleeding when I went to the bathroom and I didn't know what was going on. And my first thought was, I've got bowel cancer and that I'm dying, I'm finished. So yeah, initially it was fear, I guess depression, because I just didn't know what was going on. Yeah, and fear of the unknown. I just thought my life was coming to an end, really. And at this time I was in my third year of university doing broadcast media. And the second way it affected me was that I lost all motivation to try at university at all. I didn't see the point. You know, if you think you're dying and it's the end, so what's the point in going for this degree right now? So I became very reserved from my work, and I guess all I did was sort of just wallow in my own sort of sadness, really. I was, like I said, convinced I had bowel cancer. I started drinking because I didn't know what else to do. I was like drinking whiskey. So yeah, not very good decisions, really. Not good decisions at all, looking back. So yeah, that was how it was when I was diagnosed. Well, that was before I was diagnosed. The second way it affected me was anger, because I would go to the doctor and they would say, "You're pushing too hard in the toilet." And it took a while for me to get diagnosed, and so I was angry at the healthcare system, really, because I just didn't know what was going on, and they didn't really seem to care at the time, or the doctor that I was seeing didn't care. So she seemed like the kind of doctor that just didn't want to be there, sort of hated her job. So I think she was just going through the motions. That's what it felt like to me anyway. So yeah, eventually I get a diagnosis, and now I've been told what's going on with me. My immune system's attacking my own bowel. So I go through a phase of just taking the meds they tell me. I learn a bit more about it, but for the most part I try and put it to the back of my mind and carry on, and it's just there. And then every now and then it would rear its ugly head, in the sense that I would flare again. And with the flares come bleeding, fatigue, constantly running to the bathroom, this immense pain that I would get. So yeah, it did drastically change my life in that sense, because now I was constantly looking in the bathroom. Like when I go to the toilet, I'd look down in the bowl and I'd check for blood. I still do that now, to be honest. I still keep an eye on it. But yeah, I was now aware of what was coming out of me in that sense. Because previously I would just go to the bathroom and think nothing of it. So yeah, I'd say a large amount of fear is the main way it's affected my life. And as a knock-on effect of that fear is actually isolation, because I withdrew more. I was already quite a withdrawn person from social events. Like I would go and, like a lot of people, I think, I'd get as drunk as possible quite quickly just to feel comfortable in that environment. And that's not good in itself. But so I already needed that sort of crutch to feel like I fit in. And now that I've got this on top of it, it made it harder to want to go out, especially because I would need to run to the bathroom constantly. So I'd be kind of scared to go out, because like, what happens if I have an accident? Now I'm worried about if I'm going to crap my pants. I need to know if there's a bathroom nearby. So yeah, just fear, really. And that fear has carried on. It's something I still feel now. I mean, I guess I'm quite a scared person in general, really. there's a lot of things that just freak me out. And maybe having this experience has made me more fearful now as a 31-year-old. I mean, if I was to look down now and see blood, I'd just get that feeling of like, oh, not again. Not going through this again. And probably the initial feeling of like, when I see the blood, I'd probably be like, I get this stomach drop feeling like, oh no, it's happening again. So yeah, definitely just a general fear. But I'm not saying I'm scared all the time. I'm just saying it introduced a lot of fear into my life, basically. And yeah, like I said, I've been quite withdrawn. I'm still quite an isolated person, although I feel quite a lot of people feel that way these days. Yeah, I think part of just getting older is sort of, for me anyway, is you just have less friends, really. Because when you're in school, you're surrounded by people. So it's really easy to talk to people. And then, especially where I became self-employed, I became more withdrawn, I spoke to less people. And I feel like the decision to do self-employed work was also driven by the bowel disease because, you know, I do want to work from home or in a place I feel comfortable in case I've got to go to the bathroom. Or, you know, I might get a really bad cramp and if I'm at home, I'm just going to lie down. Like, I could just lie down here. I fart a lot. I mean, I'm not terribly embarrassed about farting, but yeah, I don't really like doing it in public places because people be like, I'd say this one of my powers it's given me is I have like really loud farts, and luckily I'm a person who finds it quite funny. But other ways it's affected my life in sort of, I'd say positive and negative ways is with food, because I learned a lot more about nutrition and where I was going wrong. And I'm trying to make those steps to eat more healthy on a regular basis now, so that if it was to happen again, I'd be in a healthier position to recover from it. So I look at food quite differently to a lot of people. That causes its own stress because you become sort of hyper aware of what's in your food, like especially like sugar or those sort of things. Like you're looking out for things that could increase your like inflammation in your body. So you learn about how like your body works, but then you become more anxious in general about the things entering your body. And, you know, in the UK, if you go to the shop, it's quite hard to get food that is good, really, unless you're cooking at home. What I mean is if you're like getting a meal deal sandwich, look at the ingredients and then you'll see what I mean. And that's sort of what most people eat, really. You know, that's why every supermarket has a meal deal. Or like look at your microwave meals, all of those processed foods. But that's what I mean, I'm more aware of it because of the IBD. But like I said, I do see it as a positive because I think in general, we should be looking at what we eat and trying not to eat so many processed foods. So in that sense, yeah, I feel like it's given me knowledge that I wouldn't have discovered otherwise, but it's introduced a whole like dynamic of anxiety into trying to get the right sort of foods. And speaking of anxiety, definitely introduced a lot more of that into my life because now, you know, there might be a day where I'm feeling exceptionally tired or fatigued, which is part of it. And then at the time I might just think, oh, I slept bad. Oh, I'm so tired today. And then when I actually think about it later, a lot of the times I would then see blood. So then it's like, oh, it's actually just my bowel is probably inflamed right now. I didn't think of that. And then, I don't know, it always gets me that because you sort of just think about how you feel in the moment. You don't think about the things leading up to how you feel. And sometimes it's quite hard to know if you're inflamed inside right at the start. There's a few telltale signs, but yeah, so being more aware of your gut health and how that plays into your emotions. Because when my bowel is happy, I'm happy. Like, I have more energy. When my bowel's in a bad state, not necessarily like I'm bleeding, but say, you know, I do get random pains, you know, even now, technically I think I'm in remission, but I still get like days where, like last week, I think for about 4 or 6 hours, I was just having to lie down because it hurt so much. Or yesterday in the gym, I was working out and this top bit of my bowel was hurting, like to breathe. And I was trying to do a lat pull down, so pulling some weight towards me, like a seated pull up kind of. And it was hurt. And I know that that's my bowel because I've had it over years. And I know it might be I've just got a bit of wind that needs releasing, or I need to go to the bathroom, but it's not moving. But it's that bowel pain. So it does sort of still, you know, do things now, even though I'm in remission. I'm not sure I'm actually in remission, but yeah. And that's, you know, I'm unsure. So just unsure about things. Another thing is I find it hard to think about the future because I don't know how I'm going to feel. Especially now I've had like a period of time where I've been in hospital last year and I thought I was dying again, and now I'm just unsure about things. So I guess in a way it's made me live day to day because I can't rely on thinking about the future. And I try and make the steps to ensure I have a healthier future. You know, I exercise as much as I can. I try and eat foods that I know are healthy. But there's only so much I can do. Maybe it's the decisions I made when I was younger that I really needed to change. But so yeah, I'd say those are the main ways it's impacted me. But another thing that it's given me is I feel like it's given me more empathy in a way because I've joined more communities because of it. I've seeked to speak to people more over it. I've wanted to learn from people. I wanted to try and help people. So in a way, it's brought its own community as well. Yeah. It's hard to say though, because like I've said in one of my other videos, I can't go back and change the things that I've done or live a life that doesn't have IBD and find out what would have happened instead. So I am just speculating on how it's affected my life, but that's just how it is. Things I would have changed in the past would definitely have been diet, because I feel like looking back, I feel like a lot of my problems that I have now are because of my food choices. So, for instance, when I was, I'll say late teens, I ate just like sausage rolls, like pre-packaged sausage rolls, you know, the really cheap ones. I'd have a milkshake. This was when I was out skateboarding. I'd have like a Mountain Dew. I was into that for a little bit. I'd say that was early 20s about then. But yeah, energy drinks, sweets, foods that don't really give you nutrition. And then I'm out there exercising and I'm just like sort of depleted. And I went through this period of time where I would go to start skateboarding and then I'd get really lightheaded. And I believed for a long time that I was diabetic because I was just like, why does this happen? You know, I was peeing a lot. I kept getting lightheaded. I wasn't fat or anything. I was quite lean because I exercised quite a bit, but something wasn't right. And I'd have to rush over to the shop, get a sandwich. I'd get a Mountain Dew because I think I need sugar because I'm lightheaded. And looking back, I think that was perpetuating how I felt, because what I think was really happening was I was living off of carbs. So a lot of the time I'd have like toast for breakfast or cereal, like really sugary cereal. I loved having toast with like Marmite and peanut butter on toast. I'd have like instant noodles. I had loads of instant noodles. I'd have like pre-packaged macaroni cheese. all those sort of things, it's all carbs. And, you know, those carbs get turned into sugars. So I would say I was in that zone where maybe I could be diabetic now if I didn't change the way I was, because I just wasn't getting enough energy to exert myself. And I feel like years of doing that and having like not being, I don't want to blame my upbringing, but not being taught appropriate food nutrition habits. I think that's a lot of the reason why I have the problems I do later in life. Maybe if I ate highly nutritious foods growing up and continued that into teenage years and early 20s, maybe I wouldn't have the problems I do now. And I do genuinely think that might have helped quite a lot. So my main advice would be to anyone who's like, say you don't have any chronic illness, or you've just started developing it, or it doesn't really matter what stage, but look at your diet and start eating foods that you know are good for you, whether you like it or not. Because I think that you have to, really. If you want to feel better, live a better life because you've got more energy, change your diet. And yeah, if you've got kids, get them to eat right. I would say, because for me, I was given a lot of microwave meals, microwave pizzas, all this microwave food. Do away with that and have something healthy, because I think it just gives you disease. And I think that's why I have this diagnosis of ulcerative colitis, if I'm honest. That's what I believe right now. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years I'll see there's some new evidence that comes out and I change my mind. But for right now, I actually think it was my diet growing up. And I know a lot of people don't have the money or the time to get something healthy, but just try what you can. Make some adaptations. Try and get rid of microwave meals. Make something simple. Do what you can with your budget, but just try and eat healthier, because I think in the long run it's better. You don't want to get older and have a disease. So like, you'd look back and think, oh, I wish I did spend that extra money on the food that was good for me, because now I feel shit. And right now I feel good, other than the fact that I'm on medications at the minute. I do feel good with my current diet and my way of living. And I want to keep that going, but I want to try and optimize it and feel better. And part of that's my mind, really, which is why I'm doing these, like talking to you guys, trying to sort my head out in a sense. Yeah, definitely. So that's all I was really trying to say, to be honest. I hope that what I'm saying resonates with some of you and it helps some of you. If I have kids of my own, I will try and focus on good eating habits, try and teach them some healthy habits to live life by, so they grow up to be healthy, disease-free people. That would be my focus, really. Yeah. All right, well, thanks for listening to me if you made it this far. And yeah, if you want to hear more from me, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot, because I've been working on a few videos. I've got 2 videos scheduled a week coming out, Monday and Wednesday. I might actually throw this up as a bonus video, because I've got videos queued up into December now. So I'm thinking maybe 2 videos a week is actually not enough, because I want to talk about more things. So until I run out of things to say, I'll try and keep making videos. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.